Hello and welcome to No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. More than a month after a 22-year-old woman in Iran, Mahsa Amini, died in police custody after being arrested for not wearing her hijab properly, anti-government protests in the country have only intensified. Amini's family say that she was beaten to death by the police, a charge that they deny. But her death has fueled unprecedented protests against the Iranian regime. And one of the biggest days of protests was just yesterday and through the night today, as thousands came out onto the streets of several Iranian cities to mark the 40th day of her death. Reports say there were massive protests across Iran, including Amini's hometown of Saqqez, and that they raged overnight as well. Police reportedly fired on protesters. Remember, the international media faces severe restrictions from reporting from Iran, so much of this news is coming from social media accounts from activists and brave journalists on the ground. Across Iran, women have been burning their headscarves in protest and confronting security forces. They've been chanting slogans like "Woman, Life, Freedom and Death to the Dictator." Since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran has had different types of morality police to enforce various issues like the women wearing the hijab. The law requires women to cover their hair and body, and the morality police have sweeping powers of arrest. You can even go to jail for protesting against the hijab rules online. Iran has seen protests before, over a disputed election in 2009, over economic hardship in 2017 and 2019. But those protests were limited in their scope and participation. What we are seeing today are protests that involve people from all sections of society, from different age groups, and protests that are spread far and wide.
Clashes erupted on Wednesday in Mahsa Amini's Kurdish hometown of Saqqez as thousands gathered to mark 40 days since her death. The 40th day holds cultural significance in Iranian and Islamic tradition. As people paid their respects at her grave and just as the crowds were dispersing, the security forces cracked down on them. Though the forces claimed that there were no clashes between mourners and police and that some were chanting Kurdish slogans and moving towards the city with an intention to clash. Since the very beginning of anti-hijab protests triggered by Amini's death, it's estimated thousands have been arrested, 200 have been killed by security forces. Meanwhile, the United States placed over a dozen Iranian officials on its sanctions blacklist Wednesday for the crackdown on protests. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement, the United States is committed to supporting the Iranian people and ensuring that those responsible for the brutal crackdown on the ongoing nationwide protests in Iran are held accountable. On the same day that at least 15 people were killed and 10 others were injured in an attack on a key Shiite Muslim shrine in the city of Shiraz in southern Iran. ISIS later claimed responsibility for the shrine attack. 22-year-old Mahsa Amini died on September 16, 3 days after her arrest in Tehran by morality police on account of not covering her head properly, a violation of the dress code for women in Iran. Amini's death led to massive protests after her funeral, with women removing their headscarves in solidarity, with many going ahead and cutting their hair in public in defiance. With Divya Vadva, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
Well, unprecedented scenes there in Iran. Joining us on the program tonight, we have a terrific panel. Roxana Chejini is a radio and TV producer and presenter of Iranian origin. Roxana, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Do correct me if I was wrong. Activist Zakia Soman is joining us from Mumbai here. Mariam Nasir Alvi, advocate, joining us as well. And activist Amber Zaidi also joining us from Delhi today. Roxana, if I could begin with you first, it's incredible to see that more than 6-7 weeks now, since this horrific incident happened, you have this scale of protest. Did you expect it to be so prolonged?
No, hi, thank you, Radhan. Thank you for having me. No, we haven't been expecting. I think the time was ready and enough was enough. This is an ongoing process. It has been from the very beginning of 1957 when the revolution started, and even before that, the regime has tried to underestimate the young people, families, girls, boys. If you have no hijab, proper hijab, you go and get 74 lashes, you go to the prison. Young people cannot go and study, they cannot get married, they cannot fall in love, they cannot play music, they cannot sing, they cannot dance, they cannot freely travel. Everything all together after these 43 years, they come, and the time was ready. When Mahsa Amini was caught and he was dead, I think it was just the last rope that it was cut, and the whole world is just seeing what is happening in Iran. It's not only about the hair, it's not only about the scarf, it's not only about the girls, it's about the young generation. It's about, wanting to choosing your life. And, everybody is surprised. But there is a hope, there is a fire of hope in everybody around the world, in Iran, among the Iranian, around the world, and also in the world, that people who care about life. This is a really amazing time that we are experiencing.
But can I ask you, what is the kind of risk, actually that these protesters, the women, are putting themselves through in order to protest against this regime? As you know better than anyone else, it's very hard to get information about even the scale of what is going on, but we're still getting it thanks to the internet. So what is the risk that they're putting themselves through?
Thanks for the internet, that you're sitting in another country and I'm sitting here. Thanks the time last 2 years that the world has discovered another way of communication. Young generation, or Generation Z, are the pioneers and are the leaders of this movement. They are the generation of the internet. They are the generation of the video games. They are generation of social media and communication. And they're actually leading all the communication. They find a way. They have been filtering all this internet problems that they have been in Iran. In Iran, people are facing the blocking social media, the blocked internet providers. And young generation in Iran and around the world, they are the internet gurus, and they find a way. They risk their lives, and I think they have learned from the mistakes of the last 43 years. Everybody has been trying to be quiet. Okay, we find a way. Okay, we make a compromise. We cannot play, we cannot sing, we cannot dance, we cannot love, we cannot decide about what to be. Yes.
You're being deprived of your right to choose how you want to live your life. Ultimately, that is what it comes down to. Zakia Soman, just wanted you to weigh in on this, how you're looking at these protests unfolding. I mean, there is, of course, a bigger lesson, I think, for everyone about this being essentially a debate on women having the right to choose how they want to dress.
Thanks for having me, Nidhi. What's happening in Iran is really heartening, is really inspiring. It may not lead to some kind of a regime change, but it's definitely historic. The fact that it is led by women, the scale at which women are coming out, and the way they are finding support even from the men. So what are these women saying? These women are saying, hands off, to the state. To the coercive state, the women are saying, we don't want you to interfere in our lives. And simultaneously, they are also telling the religious clergy to not interfere in their lives. So they are demanding freedom, they are demanding justice, they are demanding equality. Although Iran is a theocratic nation, and we in India are a secular democratic nation, but from Iran to India and all over the world, what matters is women's equality and women standing up for their rights and women standing up against all kinds of injustices. And we know that hijab is not mandatory in Islam. Hijab is a patriarchal imposition. It is a regressive practice. It has been imposed on women with a view to control them. And it's so heartening that these women are standing up against it. And I think there are so many lessons for women all over the world in the actions of the Iranian women. And all of us stand in solidarity, unequivocal solidarity and support to the women and, of course, the men of Iran who are demanding justice, who are fighting a coercive regime, be it in the name of religion, be it under a political kind of an authority, be it under the electoral system. So even Iran has
Absolutely.
kind of elected governments. So we have all seen the the authoritarianism of the elected government in Iran, and the women of Iran standing up. They had been a major part of the revolution when it happened, even in '79. But little did they know at that time.
And doing it at such great personal risk. I mean, we've seen the kind of threats that they're facing, their families are facing. Amber Zaidi, how do you see this and the lessons that one can draw from these protests for the rest of us?
Nidhi, thank you so much for having me on your show. For decades, women's veiled heads have embodied the state's pervasive authority, but now the young women of Iran are calling the regime's authority into question with every uncovered thread. Long before protests started spreading across Iran last month, the hijab, the Islamic headscarf that Iranian law requires women to wear in public long ago, with loose-fitting modest clothing, and you cannot wear the fitted outfit, had been the center of conflicts over national identity, religious authority, and political power for decades, and that is the story we all know. And for long time, women of Iran are fighting for their equal rights. One by mandate, the veil has long served as a reminder of the Islamic Republic's power, but now it's stripped off and waved in furious protest by young women, and it is absolutely so heartening and so inspiring to see that it has come to symbolize the gulf between the population's demand and what the government is willing or even able to provide. So the battle of Iran's women is absolutely inspiring for
it's incredible. You're absolutely right. It's incredible the resonance this has had all over the world. Women all over the world are I think standing in solidarity and with these protests. Mariam Alvi, just wanted to ask you, because we are also in the middle of the hijab debate in India at the moment. Now, how do you see it in the context of that? There in Iran, women fighting for the right, to not have interference, not be told what to wear, against the hijab. Here, some would say there are those who are fighting to wear the hijab. I see it as a question of choice, whether it is there or here. How do you see it?
Thank you for having me, Nidhi. See, the debate is not about hijab. It is about a women's right. I think we've all agreed on that. So the choice to wear what she wants, to practice what she wants, to express herself as she wants, whether with the hijab or without the hijab. And my work takes me across cities, I meet hundreds of women through my work, to ages of 14, 24, 40, across all walks of life, career women, non-career women. But the one baffling question that I get every time is, what is this compulsive need to control the women's lives? And the common thread is the role of the government imposing views in matter of faith. And this is deeply disturbing because it strangles personal choice. The government is nobody, no entity to dictate religious or secular standards. So Iran, India, Denmark, France, the positioning on hijab is actually masking an arbitrary dictating, an arbitrary dictation. And this necessarily overrules the woman's choice. And this is what we need to stop. Why should I be treated differently if I wear a hijab? And why should somebody else be punished because they choose not to wear the hijab? So the government and its machinery has no footing in deciding what is progressive, what is regressive. And I don't understand this glorified thekedari that the patriarchal religious dictation, which has which has become so intrusive.
But what would you say? Can I ask you this? What would you say to those in the context of India who say that, well, women are being conditioned to wear the hijab, that even someone like you were conditioned since you were a child and told that, you have to, do this or else. And therefore, it's not really a matter of choice as much as it is a matter of patriarchal conditioning. What would you say to them?
See, we need to keep the right to preach very separate from arbitrary dictation. Faith is personal. Clothing is personal. It is the government's duty to give space to women's choice, whether she wants to wear a hijab or she doesn't want to wear a hijab. And if you don't want to wear a hijab, more power to you. Go for it. I will stand with you. But if you are imposing a compulsion to wear or to remove, that is ridiculous. And that ridicules the choice of any woman. So the humiliation of women is the common underlying threat here. And it is largely enforced by a patriarchal mindset, because wherever there is compulsion to wear or not to wear. So faith cannot be politicized because it's strangling women's choices. This is an issue of compulsion. It is not an issue of faith.
Well said. Roxana, if I could get your view on this. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to follow this debate in India, but it's the protests in Iran have come at a time where in India you have, Muslim women, many of them fighting for the right to wear the hijab to classrooms, to university, etc. How do you look at that? Do you also see it essentially? I mean, these are the same debates, are they not, about choice?
Yes, it is. Actually, I'm following the news. I'm following also maybe in Turkey, they want to ask if people want to choose the hijab or not. But as our friend said, it should be a matter of the personal choice. Everybody wants the security in society. It should be a secure and safe society for those with hijab, for those without hijab. I happen to live and work 17 years in the United Emirates, Arab Emirates, and they have managed to create a society that people with hijab and without hijab, people with all different religion, they can live in a safe society. At the end, everybody wants a free choice and a safe society for ourselves, for our family, for our children. I think that is now very important time that we should be an example for our children, because the time before internet and the time after internet, it is a different situation. We cannot learn, my opinion, from the past. We cannot learn from Iranian revolution. We cannot learn from all the political ideology that has been working for hundreds of years. We have to follow the young generation. We have to make a safe society that they will be able to choose what kind of lifestyle they want, as long as they create a safe society for each other. I think it should be a matter of the free choice. Of course, some traditional, some raising, create an environment that people continue wearing hijab or continue not wearing hijab. But with all the information and all the possibility to collect the information and to educate ourselves, when we are grown up, we have a chance to choose, and there is a price to pay.
Make an informed decision.
Yes, exactly.
Zakia Soman, do you see it in the same context as well? Do you see it through the same prism?
Choice is a complex phenomenon, and it is influenced by several social, cultural, religious factors. And it's in order to make an informed choice, one needs to undergo a journey of education, empowerment, awareness. And I'm afraid in our country, the girls in Karnataka are caught up between religious patriarchy on the one hand and politics of religious polarization on the other. So the parents will not allow them to go to school without hijab. The girls are given to understand that they cannot step out of their homes without hijab. And on the other hand, the school will not allow them to enter classroom if they are in hijab. So who is bearing the brunt of, this kind of politics and patriarchy on the other hand? It's the girl and her right to education, which is her fundamental right. She has been deprived of her right to education. So choice, again, is a very, very complex phenomena. And I feel hijab it symbolizes, the kind of politics which we are undergoing in our country. It also symbolizes the patriarchy which masquerades as religion in our country, and particularly in our Muslim community. And I think the girls are, being made to pay the price for that. I really believe that the Constitution grants us the right to education, right to privacy, as well as right to freedom of expression. And all of this allows us to dress the way we want. But left to myself, I would want every girl, every Muslim girl, to undertake that journey of self-education, self-awareness, self-empowerment, and to decide for herself whether Allah really, means for her to her head to be covered or her head or her hair not to be seen. Which is a much larger debate about women's equality and gender justice.
I understand it is complex, but let me ask Roxana finally that, in terms of the protests in Iran at the moment, Roxana, why are these protests different? We've seen protests break out before, but the scale of this, of course, is huge. Where is this going to go?
It's very difficult to see or say that is going to make a big changes very quick and very fast. I believe this is a part of the process. The world is so much connected now through the internet that whatever happens, wherever it happens, we are affected. And this shows that how a country, a safety of a country, or choose a country, or a regime of a country can affect the security of other countries. I don't think that it's going to make a big changes immediately, I hope, but this is a big step. The difference is that the amount of connection and information exchange through the internet and the strategy that it is used. I think the whole world is ready. We in the media, we know that there is a big marketing campaign that is supporting what is happening. I think this is the time people wears all systems, and all system needs to change slowly, and no glory comes very immediately, but this is huge. So many thousands of people together through the internet, they move together, they support each other, they feel each other. It is huge. And from the woman and young generation to the world, this is a big message that it means the power of people is back. People can make a difference. And I hope that, it stays this way. Yes.
Well, more power to you, all of you, and to the women of Iran. It is really incredible what they are doing in the most difficult, adverse circumstances in a very hostile environment. So good luck to them. Thank you to all of you for joining us.
I would like to borrow Roxanne's argument.
Yes. I just have 30 seconds.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I have 30 seconds.
I want to borrow Roxanne's argument to defend the conditioning stance. We are all so much exposed to education and information and conflicting point of views. Just because a parent has told their child to wear a hijab is not enough to come on the streets like this. It shows massive self-motivation.
There is a big goal, and this is the freedom of choice, and the young generation, they matter. And I really wish the best for every young generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Thank you.